That again. We got that piece.
Was that live? I don't know.
Oh no. Hey guys, sorry about that. We had a little bit of sound mix up. Anyways, welcome to our regularly scheduled live stream. It's been 2 weeks since we last saw each other, and we have a new guest joining us today. One of our newest additions here on the team, Mr. Akil Hooper.
Hi everyone. Nice to meet you.
Welcome, welcome. We're excited to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Akil, your history in the industry, and how you came to be a part of the Ashes of Creation team.
So I've been in the game industry for 16 years. I started at Sony Online in the customer service department. I started as a GM and then worked my way up through there. Did a few years at SOE, did a little bit of everything. I was a lead designer for EQ2 for a little while.
Nice.
I went off to Obsidian Entertainment and I worked on a canceled game there for a little bit, and then we shipped Fallout New Vegas and a couple of the Fallout New Vegas DLCs.
Nice.
And then after that, another stint back at Sony Online where I joined up the EverQuest 2 team again. Okay. And then took over EverQuest and EverQuest 2 as creative director for both projects.
Very cool.
And for the last few years after that, I've been working at Disney Interactive on a mobile game that was called Enchanted Tales.
Nice.
And now I'm here.
Wow, that's a pretty broad
history.
history.
It's a long, good road, man.
I know,
it's been a crazy
cool.
road.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, very cool. Well, guys, as you know, before we get into some Q&As, and we have a little video today that's going to kind of have an overview of our character creation process. We are going to talk a little bit about the summer store. Excuse me, the summer store that we opened up on, when did we open that? June 21st, I think, ish. Oops, we have a focus issue.
I'm no longer in focus.
Okay, we're in
focus. Let me sit back.
Uh-oh.
I just have a blur on my face.
Oh, no.
That's the way he looks to us all the time. That soft focus is just the way most of us see Jeff. So.
I don't know why that's not focusing. We'll try to fix that. But we have the summer store that opened up.
I'm better.
And we are going to be running that until July 21st, I believe. We haven't done, just to give an explanation, we didn't do a lot of marketing for that or just publicity for the summer store because it was primarily intended for those in our registered users who didn't have an opportunity to back through Kickstarter because they didn't offer PayPal. So, you know, we also wanted to get some account integration stuff done so that people who participated in our Kickstarter would be able to, oh, okay, there we go. Look at that, we're focused. We wanted to get the code registration, account syncing, and referral rewards program activated and representing stuff, which you can expect to see code sent out over the weekend, possibly Monday or Tuesday at the very latest. But I expect that we'll get those out as soon as possible. In addition, what was the other thing? It was about the store, or the code process. We got the code process. We have PAX that's coming up.
2 months?
In 2 months. I thought you were going to say tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
We have PAX that's coming up in 2 months, and we're going to have a pretty awesome experience for everybody who's going to be at PAX. And this is in Seattle. It's PAX Prime. We have a very large setup there. We're going to be on the main floor. We're going to have 2 experiences for our players. And
they'll be pretty self-contained experiences. One's going to be a PvE experience. One's going to be a PvP experience. Kind of to give you kind of a broad sort of sense of what's going on.
Right. So like we're going to have 2 groups available for people to run through. You know, starting out in a town. You know, doing an escort duty with a caravan. You're going to see the town be able to progress in its stage as a node. You're going to go through a dungeon delve, and you're going to experience. 4 classes will be playable. We're going to have the primary archetypes, not with any secondary classes, but just the primary archetypes. And that's going to be a tank, it's going to be a ranger, it's going to be a mage, and a cleric. And we're going to go over in a little bit today about some of the skills that are going to be seen.
Yep.
Some of the combat systems. We're going to explain a little bit about the combat systems that people will see there. as well as some of the utility systems and ultimate abilities.
Yep.
After we show the character customization video. And the flip side of that coin is players will also be able to experience, on the other side, we'll have 8 stations set up where players can participate in a team versus team battle in an arena.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty simple, just to get your feet wet and kind of get a feel for what we're doing here. Get a sense of what it's like to fight another player, and not just the environment. We thought having both of those are important, since both of those are important to our game. And we want to make sure that everybody kind of gets an experience on that. And they're really self-contained. It's not the broader game. It's just a very focused, very quick, kind of driven experience.
And we're going to also have some merchandise at PAX for those of you who will be at PAX Prime in Seattle. There'll be unique merchandise specific to PAX, and then there'll be some broader ones that will be offered later on in the store online. So we have a pretty busy schedule over the next 60 days.
We're never stopping here.
There's a lot going on right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So I think what we're going to do now is go ahead and show the video that we recorded just an hour ago, talking a little bit about the character customization process and what that entails with one of our senior character artists, Matt Broom. And hope you guys enjoy this 10-minute little video.
Yeah. We'll see you in a second.
All right, so Mr. Matt Broom, one of
Hello.
our senior character artists.
Okay, I'll take that.
So you've been building the base, I guess, character model that's going to be used for the humans.
Yeah.
And people are going to, when they get into the character customization screen, when they first log into Ashes of Creation, they're going to be referencing from this point how they want their character to look.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Yeah, they're going to basically start with this generic male,
Right.
who's in incredibly good shape, and then they're going to make decisions on what's perfect to them.
Right.
Right.
Because he's not already perfect in that shape.
No. No. Some of
wants
them
to be
Everybody
bigger
has a different perfect, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Who wants to be the Brad Pitt in Fight Club?
No one.
Right? Nobody wants to be that.
Overrated.
So you're taking that perfect model, and then people can grow into an overweight person if they want.
Oh,
to be
yeah.
a skinny, non-muscular person.
Yeah, like if they're that tank class, we want to give them the ability to turn into the tank.
Right.
Because you have to see it to believe it. So we want to be able to, people have that kind of customization. If they want to be a skinnier character, we want to let them do that too.
That's where a lot of character comes from too, right? It's just that, like, what your physical presence is. You know, that kind of gives you a really quick picture of who this person might be.
Oh, absolutely too. You want that big imposing silhouette, but then some want to be that stealthy fighter.
Right.
And I see that this on the screen. I don't know if you guys can see it behind us. This is just an early rendition of that character, right?
Yeah, basically what we did was we got a technically sound base character to start with, and what we're doing now is making that lean, very Fight Club type body type.
Right.
And then that becomes a target to get us to the tank or to get us to that stealthy character.
Gotcha. So it's like the baseline, basically.
Yeah, it's like your anatomy guy 101, but we're really focused on realism, right? So right now we're sculpting in the details to get to that, Fight Club level, but then what you'll see as we get towards the finish line is muscles become more relaxed, more organic, more like you would see a real person.
Nice, that's really
That's
cool.
very cool. And what type of customization functionality are people going to have when they start determining these body types? Are they going to be able to put like scars? We want them to put scars on there. We want them to be able to like change the musculature of the face, like have a longer nose.
Oh yeah, we got to give them all of that. We got to give them all that. I mean, we want them to be able to go in there, put a scar on one eye. We want to have one blue eye, one red eye. We want to let them get in and make each one of these characters exactly what they want.
Right.
Give them different eye types, for instance, would be something cool that we could do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And on armor, we could beat it up, make it pristine and perfect, change little details. We want people to feel like an army, but we want to have little details that say a little bit something about their journey.
Right. Is this the base face that I have on there as well?
Yeah, this is the base face in progress, right? So this is, I love the fact that we're showing some of this early stuff because this is really the early days of the clay sculpt. So this is about how strong the character is. This is about the region of the world the character's from. And since this is our universal male, you really want him from everywhere. But what you're going to see is when we start getting into other races, some of the Anglo characters, African characters, Middle Eastern characters, Asian characters, the structure starts to change, right?
Right.
Cheeks start to sink, eyes get smaller, eyes get longer, you know, jaws get wider with that European male. So this is the center of our universe before we scale out
Right.
and get
And
more
when you say
flexibility.
things like, you know, European male, Asian male, Middle Eastern male, it's not that we have those in our game. It's
Right.
that, you know, those are the inspiration we're drawing
Right.
from when creating this human character.
It goes back to the character customization
Right.
screen, right? You're going to see a face on the screen that's kind of like your neutral target, like you do in most games. Then you're going to start moving sliders around, and ultimately you're going to identify that person that you're playing with. So it's about flexibility in customization as opposed to pigeonholing a character specifically with just one character type.
Right. And a lot of the stuff up here that is in the background, it looks like we are talking about like sort of how we get from that base male to like something a little bit more radical, like Abdonis over there, right?
Yeah, this was a complex design meeting that we were having where the designers were really talking about, you know, everybody's going to have, you know, these amazing armor sets, and then how can we put details on those armor sets? And the discussion was how we would drive that from a base male, start adding different layers of customization, details, and then the front end system on how we could get hairstyles, skin colors, and how we can get some of the underground race, you know, the Tolnar mixed in with the humanoid males and the mammalians. So this was about how do we pull that universe together, give the flexibility that felt like you're getting a lot of customization to the players, but not break the visual integrity of what we're going for with that.
And what you're establishing here in working on this master mesh basically is that, as we were discussing earlier, if you need to change something, you go back to the original, back to the master.
Yeah, that's a great point. So the whole idea with this was a couple of things, which is we're driving all of our technical decisions from a technically sound male mesh and female mesh. And that allows us to scale up to these humanoid mammalian characters. And then we're talking about the fact that we have a few material types that drive the three complex parts of the system, represented as number 1, number 2, and number 3, which is the base character race with no armor, the character with his armor details, and then ultimately the accoutrements and the gear that you can put on that character.
Okay, that's very cool. So you mentioned the Tolnar. The Tolnar are very different from our other races within the game. The other races aren't going to be able to bring in reptilian or mammalian or humanoid attributes and scale them for their character customization like the Tolnar will. What is the means by which in our character creation screen we're going to be implementing those types of scales to bring in the mammalian fur perhaps on some of the textures?
It's going to be awesome because it'll drive from the same system, because to the end user it looks like fur, to us it looks like three-dimensional geometry.
Right.
So we're really just changing the details of the geometry. Then at runtime, we're telling you what material to put on the geometry. And that's what's so great about our system is we're building a system that doesn't make the decisions for the end user. We're building a system that supports many choices to the end user. And I think that's one of the things that's exciting about Ashes is every single decision that we're making early on is to make sure that we're not telling the users who to be, what race to be, what to wear, and how to wear it. We're trying to give them as much flexibility as possible, and then they can be the end decider.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm really excited about this. I mean, the power of this system and just the ability on the design level, right, to really be able to pull from all sorts of different things and make some characters that really pop on the NPC side of things and on the story side of things. I mean, it just makes my imagination kind of go crazy because I'm not like, hey, Matt, can you spend 2 months making this character for me? I can just be like, hey, these are the details I have. I can make somebody really cool looking, somebody that hasn't been seen before, and I can do that really quick.
And the best games come from those designer decisions, right? I mean, people don't play games with depth to, you know, get more art. They are getting art that supports the role and the story that they're telling through gameplay. So our job ultimately is to get the options and get the flexibility to the designers that support their vision of the world.
And that's exactly what this is doing. It's so cool. I can't wait to start playing with
I
it.
think that one of the great things, and as you were saying, the mission of Ashes of Creation and our other designs and systems and mechanics is that unique player-driven customization, right? I mean, that's where the construction of the world comes from. It only makes sense that we're going to have the most capability possible in our character creation system that's going to allow players to really have a unique identity that they're capable of creating for themselves through their avatar, through their character.
And you know, it's also really performant too, right? Like that's something we've been talking about a lot, where we do want that variation, but we don't want that variation to kill the player experience, right?
Right.
And that's what this allows, because it's all coming back from one place.
Yeah.
Right? One space. We don't blow up our memory. We don't bring a machine to tears, you know.
Right.
This is all
Right.
something that is super doable.
You can make the most amazing YouTube videos ever, but at the end of the day, we have to deliver the game to the players.
Right.
It's got to work.
Exactly.
And if we're not playing it like we do every day right now, we can't deliver a game that's going to work.
And I know we were talking earlier about potentially once we get our character creation system set up and ready to go for certain races, perhaps that's going to be something we will open up for the player base early.
Yeah, no, that would be really cool.
Save character profiles.
That would be awesome.
And there was another, I mean, there's been a few other games that have done it, but I've really enjoyed contests around unique character creations.
Yeah.
I think that's
just to see what people can do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if
can
we
you
give
create Tina Fey? I don't know.
If we give these tools to the player base, it's so fun to see what they can come up with.
It's just cool because it's, you know, it's another layer of transparency, right? It's another way to get things in front of the players as fast as possible, get feedback as fast as possible.
Right.
And what is more exciting than getting a snapshot real time of who you're going to be in the world, and it just builds anticipation to go explore the universe. It's great.
And it gives you time to think about it too.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's one important thing about Ashes of Creation is the fact that we really are spending a lot of time and effort towards making a fully in-depth character creation system.
Yeah.
And I think our players are going to really enjoy that.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Matt.
Matt.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Sitting with us.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
All right, we do it.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little sneak peek discussion about the character customization process and what it's going to feel like for you guys to get in there and really make your identity with your character.
Yeah, it's really important to us. You know, we put a lot of thought into how we want to structure this and how we want to bring as many options to the player as possible. And so, you know, it's all about the basics, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I mean, these are the kinds of conversations we always have behind closed doors, and kind of to show you what our thought process is and how we get to where we're going.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool to open that door and give you guys a glimpse. So one of the things we're going to do now is we're going to talk to you a little bit about the experience that we're going to be offering players at PAX. Talk a little bit about the classes and their combos and their skill abilities, and how just the interaction between these 4 classes that'll be present at PAX kind of just jives with each other.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that we chose classes that complement, that make a full party, that can represent sort of the Trinity system that we're going for, and also give them a kit that functions well and makes sense with what we're doing. We wanted to make sure that, you know, you guys aren't spending a lot of time like choosing abilities and stuff, that you get to just go into the game and start running immediately.
Right.
So you won't see things like, you know, a skill tree and stuff, but you will see a pretty solid kit that will allow you to have a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, these are kind of pre-built.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun figuring out how to project what the game is going to feel like in this small little segment of gameplay. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for what we're doing here.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been fun to just give this experience to the players at PAX. I think we're going to have a really cool, just fun time there for people.
Yeah.
Even people that haven't heard of the game that are going to see this experience. I think it's going to be crazy. We're going to get a lot of great positive responses out of this event. So let's go over the first class that's going to be present. The first primary archetype that players will have access to in this group is going to be the tank.
The tank, and that's kind of course, the cornerstone of any good party is a good tank. We've got Keel working on a lot of the abilities right now.
Yeah, I've been digging into a couple of the abilities, figuring out how they're going to work in the game, trying to get them prototyped and running so we could start playing with them.
Yeah, so it's you're going to see some really basic functionality there. Like you're going to have a taunt. You're going to have a cover ability.
Let's slow down. Let's talk about the taunt. Let's talk about the taunt.
All right, cool.
All right, so we'll get a little in depth on that. So a taunt, basically, traditionally for people that play tanks or played with tanks in fantasy-driven games in the past, is the ability for that tank to draw aggro from a target, right? And that ability sometimes can be through a single target ability, or in a direction or cone target, or an AoE around the player. That's going to allow the tank to kind of control what threats are being distributed to their party members.
Right.
Also,
Again,
also beyond that, it's also going to give us the tank the ability to control the battlefield and make sure that the players and the targets are in the places where they need to be to take damage that's directed. So you'll see that some of the other abilities that we're going to talk about are going to play off the tank's ability to position and manage the battlefield.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's again for our tank is about battlefield control, changing up the environment. You know, forcing the confrontation to happen on their terms.
Right. Yeah.
So
taking control, basically. Now that threat is followed by, you mentioned, a wall.
yeah, a wall. So we've talked before about how the tank can kind of change up the battlefield to force enemies to engage him, and that's not only through a taunt, right? Like a taunt is kind of the most basic functionality, but how else can we make a tank interesting to play beyond just being like a massive HP,
And
right?
this is going to be a skill where the tank will have the ability to basically like slam his foot on the ground and construct this immediate wall behind him or on him or in a direction that he may choose based on how he's facing. And then that wall is going to have a secondary effect. For the period of time that it exists, it will incur a condition modifier to any target that comes into contact
Yeah,
with
the idea is that an NPC will come running at your cleric, for example, and he'll run to cleric and then fall to the ground as he bashes into the wall.
Yes,
And
that's pretty cool.
generate a little damage, a little bit of aggro back to the tank.
Nice, that's pretty cool. I love the wall.
Yeah, and the great thing about these things is that they're all PvP, PvE agnostic, right? So all the cool things that the tank gets to do in PvE are also cool things they're going to be able to do in PvP.
Absolutely. That's the general design architecture of classes in the game, is that they are agnostic of a PvP or PvE occurrence, basically. These are going to be cross mechanics, so to speak. After the wall, we have a pull effect, a pull skill, a lasso skill.
Get over here.
Get over here, exactly. And that kind of jives well again with that wall and having a secondary condition that gets encountered if the target interacts with that wall. So you can spawn the wall and immediately pull a target into the wall.
That target hits the wall, falls down, gets lassoed by you, gets brought back to you. You now have control over it again.
Yes, that is an awesome skill too. The shield bash, a staple sword and board tank kind of skill ability, and our tank at PAX will have a sword and board.
Yeah.
This shield bash allows, it may even have the legendary sword of Jeffrey. We don't know.
We don't know. We have the effects people working on it right now.
Yeah, exactly. But that shield bash is going to be kind of like a damage, dealing X damage as well as conditioned stun effect or something along those lines.
Yeah, for another knock to ground.
Right, perhaps, yeah, another knock to the ground. Now there's another thing that the tank can do with that shield. He can also offer aid.
He can.
And how does he do that?
He puts that shield up into the sky. He lets his gods know that, hey, this party's mine. And while he's doing that, any damage that his party members are taking gets shunted back to him, or a percentage of it. It's not going to be all of the damage. But
right, so he offers kind of damage mitigation to party members that are within a certain proximity of the shield cover.
Yeah.
Right? And
when things have gone really wrong.
Yes. Then he's going to be taking a portion of, he's going to share that life with them, so to speak. Yep. And he'll be taking that damage. That's I love that effect.
Also, if you're being clever about it, you might be able to use it in terms of an off tank who kind of, goes and takes one enemy, and there's a lot of different applications for the skills that we're making.
Yes. Now, something that actually has not been described before is one of the aspects of our combat system. So we have a skill input, a keystroke time frame that activates based off of your weapon use. So every person's going to have a weapon, and that weapon's going to influence the damage that they're capable of doing. It's going to have other conditions and stats associated with it. But one of the most integral part of having a weapon is your weapon use ability. And that weapon use ability contains within it a keystroke-driven precision type combat system that then allocates energy to the ability to use a certain ultimate skill that your class is going to have. And for the tank, he's using that sword and board. So he's going to initiate an attack with his weapon, and that's going to be some slash effect that's going to come down. And while he maintains parity in relationship to the target of distance, he's going to have the opportunity to keystroke within a certain window of time during the animation effect while he's slashing, another keystroke that will initiate a combo effect where he will then hit the target with his shield. And then there will be a second combo opportunity, another window that will populate again for him to keystroke at the right time, and he'll do a final smackdown with the sword.
Right.
And this system is prevalent in all weapon mechanics. All weapon-based skill effects that you're going to be using in the game is going to share this type of functionality where you may combo into additional strikes.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And you know, these additional strikes can have different riders, they can have different abilities based on what kind of weapon you have, what kind of skills that you spec into.
Correct.
There's a lot of different ways that you can change those up. It kind of takes the place of, you know, the boring auto attack, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like this is kind of a primary damage component of your character, and then all your abilities kind of supplement that.
Right, and you don't have to participate in the combo effects.
Right.
If you wish, you can just activate the attack and let that be your attack. But you have an opportunity to keystroke at the right window of time, and when you do that, you will be generating energy for another skill. And that other skill is going to be an ultimate effect. Basically, something that's going to be very powerful. It's going to imbue your role, your class role. And for the tank, we have an ultimate effect that is called...
We're calling it the superhero jump right now.
Nice.
Come up with a better name
That's
later
right,
on,
I
but
see
right
the
now we're thinking of
superhero.
the tank jumps up in the air and slams down like a superhero and does a big lasso for all the targets around it. So it's like a massive battlefield control.
Yes. So that's going to be when he has procced enough combo effects and generated the energy necessary to be able to activate this skill, he's going to perhaps lunge forward in a jump that you said, and within a forward arc, he's going to initiate that lasso effect for multiple targets, drawing them close to each other. So it may be conducive to some type of skill combos where he will be generating that power. He'll have the ultimate ability ready. He'll summon the wall, perhaps, and he'll move back and activate the skill where he pulls everyone into the wall.
Yeah.
All right. That
or,
could be,
or he gets everyone close, and then some of the other classes have some abilities that they can chain off of that.
right. Absolutely. Yes, that's a good point. The other thing that all of our classes are going to demonstrate at PAX is going to be a utility skill, something that isn't necessarily dependent on a combat situation, but actually grants the players the ability to interact with their environment and hazards that may exist within that environment, and not having it be in a combat situation.
Right. And it's all about trying to integrate, you know, the world and the roles of the player, and kind of give them a feeling that I am contributing something that's not just damage, that's not just, you know, heals. It is information. I can get more information from the world than any other player can in my particular point of view. Right?
One of the things I love about the utility effects is I feel like it's going to make the world feel more alive.
Yes.
Right.
That the players are going to interact with it. Maybe they'll get a little bit of story. Maybe they'll advance through a dungeon. It's going to make it feel less like a static MMO that is unchanging. You're going to have some real interaction with the environment, and I think that's pretty cool.
That's a good point. Yeah. So the tank's utility is basically a perception check. It's a detection, threat detection, and this is going to be where the tank is going to determine an area at some degree of distance beyond what is normal for him to interact with. And he's going to determine what actors are present there that may provide threat to the party.
Right.
Right.
So it's about, you know, determining what kind of creatures are aggro, and also whether there may be any ambushes in that particular area. So you know, we have all sorts of triggered events and all sorts of triggered encounters, and the tank will have a better chance of being able to be prepared for those kinds of events.
Right.
And because of the node system, the world's not always going to be static.
Right.
And so something like this is going to be important as you're exploring around, because a place that you were at before might not be safe anymore. There might be an ambush there that wasn't there yesterday. And so you hit your perception and you'll see like, oh, I need to pay attention when I go down that road.
Absolutely. Another thing that's important about these utility effects is that they're not something that's spammable. These utility effects, you're going to have to be strategic with the placement and use of these utilities, because they're going to have cooldowns associated with them where you may not be able to just spam them back to back.
Right.
You know? And different classes are going to have different utilities. So let's move on to the next class. I didn't miss anything with the tank, did I?
No, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So our next class we'll go to is the cleric. And the cleric is a class, that archetype is the master of life, really.
Right. We're trying to think about, like, what does it mean to be the healer in the party, right? Like, what abilities should a healer have, right? It's where does it come from? It's their control of life.
Yes.
So we wanted to make sure that we're not putting this character in the back row, and all he does is watch the party window and just click buttons,
That's
right? Like, I'm not watching the fight anymore. I'm just watching over here.
Exactly.
And part of that is because their kit usually is pretty boring, right? Like, they have a heal, they have a group heal, they have hots, they have, there's all of these heals they have, but they're all heals.
Right, they're one-dimensional, and we don't want the cleric to be one-dimensional. So the first and most important thing about the cleric is that the cleric at PAX is going to be a staff-wielding cleric. So that means that cleric's going to be up front and personal with any enemies that they may encounter, and that's going to give the cleric the ability to perform outside of just the healing aspect of it, but it's also going to relate to their abilities, because some of their abilities are going to require them to be up close and personal if you really want to get max effectiveness out of it. So one of the first abilities that the cleric's going to demonstrate is going to be a targeted spot heal, an ability to take a target party member and heal them up. But in addition to that healing effect, you're going to also give them a heal over time, a hot, that will act as both a heal for the target and also as a proximity-based damage over time for any nearby enemy targets. So you're going to have two-dimensionality there. You're going to be doing damage, and at the same time you're going to be healing up a party member. Right. Yeah, that's a pretty cool aspect of it. And you'll see that tie into their ultimate in just a second. The other ability that the cleric is going to have is sort of this kind of, I don't want to say vampiric, but it is kind of like a life balance AoE that the cleric is going to lay down as a template on the battlefield, and enemies within that template are going to suffer damage and have life removed, and allies within that template are going to have life restored based on the life removed from the enemies. Right?
And you'll see a lot of this kind of balancing of life force, because you can't really generate something from nothing. You have to draw it from something else.
Yes,
so.
That's a good point. So after that AoE kind of template thing, you're going to see a group balance life effect. And what this does is it allows the cleric to basically take the hit points percentages of the party and balance them to a metric that is equal across the board for everyone.
So it's just averaging out everybody's hit points.
Right, absolutely. So if you have your tank that's suffered a lot of burst and spike damage and they're reduced to 10% health.
And you've got a backline that's full up.
Exactly. You can cast that balanced life effect and you can bring everyone to a nominal percentage. This one, the next skill is a pretty cool one. So this is a chain heal effect. This is something where you're going to target a member, and you're going to launch a line of heals towards them, and it's going to arc based on proximity to any nearby allies from that target. And it can continue to jump from allied members, and the more times this heal effect jumps, it's going to also deal damage, burst damage, to nearby enemies within proximity of the target. And for every stack of ally that it jumps to, it's going to deal additional amounts of damage. It's going to power up, basically. And that's why it's beneficial for the cleric to be up front and personal in combat, because they will be an additional stack of that damage. Yeah.
It's also good to know where everyone is on the field and position everyone around and know where your enemies are. So more that tank control, battlefield movement.
Absolutely. That is
Tactics are really going to be important in this game.
Endow Life. This is going to be a resurrection-styled skill, but a little different.
Just in case anybody dies.
Right. A little different, though. Endow Life is going to be a short-duration buff that will resurrect a party member upon death. So basically, Endow Life can work in two ways. If your target is a living member, it will act as a buff that will last for maybe 5 seconds or maybe a little bit longer. And if they were to die within that time, they will have a resurrection ability after death. Or it can be used on a dead party member, and at that point in time, it is a long cast effect.
Right.
So it's something that if the cleric is aware and watching what's going on, and they see some backline member taking spike damage, and they can quickly, instantly cast this ability on them while they're still alive, that would mitigate the time necessary to have to res them if they were to die.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, it's about the healer being kind of on top of kind of the total party status.
Right. Now, the ultimate effect that, again, is based off of that combo system of skill input in a window, precision window, the ultimate ability for the cleric is going to be a divine form. And this divine form grants party members who are within proximity of the cleric, as well as the cleric themselves, a heal over time. It also increases the amount of heals that the cleric will do, as well as their damage output as well for this period of time. It's going to give that damage over time, proximity-based damage to each party member. So if they're around enemies, it'll damage those enemies over time as well for the duration of this divine form. It's going to have the cleric's going to kind of rise up on their feet and kind of, during this 5 seconds, just be floating there and doing their stuff that they're doing. It'll be a pretty cool little look to it. And then it's also going to give a hot. Did I mention the hot?
You did.
Okay, I mentioned the hot. So that's going to be the ultimate ability. And that, again, will last for probably around 5 seconds-ish, I would imagine. Maybe
Enough to turn the tide.
Exactly, enough to turn the tide.
The goal for these is for them to be strategic and game-changing. So you want to build them up, but you want to save them for the right time.
Right. Yes, that is true. So after the cleric's utility, I did not mention. The cleric's utility is an environmental cleansing. It's a purge, basically. So maybe explain a little bit about what type of hazards they may encounter in this dungeon and or in the area.
Yeah, so the thought behind the purge is you walk into an area that's been cursed by an evil mage, and normally your party would go in and you take damage over time from that curse, but your cleric could come in, clear out the curse, and it would be safe for your party to go in.
Yep. So purging, basically, cleansing of that environment is perfect. Very cleric-esque.
Now we may want to go to Q&As now.
Oh, really?
I mean, we could keep talking about this, but that'll take the rest of the stream.
Well, what does the stream want? Do you want us to tell you about the mage and ranger, or do you want us to go to Q&As? So, mage and ranger or Q&As?
The voting starts
The voting
now.
begins now. Something tells me it's going to be nothing but mage and ranger. What does it look like?
Mage, ranger.
Okay.
So no Q&A
no
today.
Q&A there. We might have some time.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to the mage. The mage is going to be using a spell book as a weapon. And this spell book allows the mage to kind of draw arcane energies, these like little magic missiles. From the spell book against their target. So it's a ranged DPS weapon. Again, that combo effect is going to allow the mage to build up their ultimate ability. It's going to be something that's available to them. The first skill that a mage is going to be working with, drum roll please, nobody's expecting this, is a fireball. The fireball is a fast cast, targeted spell that deals splash damage in an AoE template. You're going to be choosing a point of impact for this fireball, and it's going to be doing a source of fire damage, basically, that has the potential to we may not see this at PAX, but it has the potential to light targets on fire if they have certain conditions. Maybe if you're in an arid or hot environment in summer, it may have a condition modifier effect to fire spells, stuff like that.
They're all really elemental based. So.
Yes, yeah. After the fireball is a longer casting route called Ice Prison, I think we're calling it, Ice Prison. The Ice Prison basically allows the mage to lay down shards of this ice that trap.
Right, it's basically a full route.
Right, yeah. And now that's not going to be doing any damage, or?
Currently it doesn't.
Okay. All right, so there you go. It's a control. After that, we have a lightning bolt. So lightning bolt is going to be a line templated attack that's going to involve you determining the direction of the lightning bolt and striking targets within that line template, right?
Yep.
Okay, and that's going to deal damage. It's going to project out from the mage, so you can see kind of a combo there. You're going to ice prison someone, and then you got them lined up so they're not moving or dodging out of that direction to land your lightning spell.
Exactly.
Yeah. So. That's pretty cool. Not to mention, in addition, should the tank be able to trip opponents with their wall, the mage is going to be ready to line that attack up. If they do their ultimate ability and pull in all enemies kind of close together, then that's like prime opportunity to launch that lightning ball or the lightning bolt. Another thing for the mage is going to be a skill that's a self-teleport. It's going to give the mage some mobility. Obviously, that's an important aspect of being a backline DPS, kind of a little bit less able to withstand damage. If you need to move quickly, you can move quickly.
And you could blink out through a wall and pull the tank, give the tank a chance to save you.
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's going to be dependent on the direction of the mage and where they're facing. So they're going to, whatever direction the mage is facing, they're going to teleport. And we may even have some teleports at a later date that come in where you can back teleport, side teleport, stuff like that. You might even be able to change the direction on teleport. The mage is going to have a buff ability. Did we have a buff ability?
Yeah, it's mirror image.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Mirror image. Sorry, I forgot about that. So the mirror image is, what does that do for the mage?
So the mirror image is a classic D&D spell. The mage casts a spell and you get a little shimmer around them, protecting them from mirror image. And for a few attacks, the mage gets some increased evasion. And so the mirror breaks after a couple attacks, obviously, but it's a good chance for the mage to save himself.
I would tell you, when I run encounters, when I DM in Pathfinder or D&D, every boss of mine has mirror image.
They sure do. How many images can I break today, Steven?
Hey, it's not my fault that I roll well on the amount of images.
Oh, it recasts it? Oh, great. Thanks, Steve.
Wait, it teleports away, comes back with more mirror images?
Oh, appreciate it.
How did that work? That's a go-to spell. All right, so then the ultimate effect on the mage is going to be this kind of earth eruption effect. That's going to be a huge AoE kind of earthquake that's going to be, again, a line template that's casting forward from the direction that the mage will be facing, and it's going to trip opponents and deal damage when it impacts targets.
Yeah, and it's going to be a pretty broad line in front of them. This is a devastating spell.
It's a pretty cool spell. What's the utility for a mage?
Well, detect magic is a we're keeping with the classics here.
There you go.
So what this is going to allow them to do is see sort of magically hidden points of interest in their local area, right? So if there is an illusion spell that has been cast on a wall and it looks like rocks to everybody else, if you cast Detect Magic, you'll be able to see the passageway that lies behind it.
I love that. I honestly love that. Having like an illusion. When we were talking about how a dungeon, you can go into a dungeon and nobody takes a second guess in MMOs whether or not that wall there is actually a wall.
Right.
It's just like it's a wall, okay? And you keep moving in the direction you're told to go. Well, here there's going to be opportunities with this type of Detect Magic, like you said, to see paths that wouldn't normally be seen.
Right.
And it's going to be incumbent on the players to actively and strategically use these types of utilities to determine what paths they should take or what hazards they should.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It changes up the whole design, I don't know, thought process when you have these tools.
World building is going to be very different with these tools at our disposal.
Yeah. It's going to be much more interactable on behalf of the players. Okay, cool. So let's get to the last but not least, the Ranger.
The Ranger.
The Ranger. So the Ranger obviously is using a bow.
Yep.
And he's going to have some combo effects based on that bow. He's going to be launching, probably a primary shot, maybe a 2-arrowed shot after that, and then some type of kind of
arcane shot after that. Yeah.
Those are his combo effects. The first, and again, similar to the fireball, is a power shot.
Yes.
The Ranger is going to be having a power shot ability, and this is going to be a bow attack that has perhaps a longer cast time with it, a longer effect time used.
It's going to be up to the player to decide how long that cast time is.
So it's a charge up.
Yep.
They're going to be charging up their bow with this power shot. That's pretty cool. I like that. So that gives some thought process to the Ranger to determine, hey, do I have enough time to do this?
Right.
You know, I got a target incoming. And one other important aspect of the Ranger is going to be the fact that while melee characters have a max distance proximity where they're eligible to use their sword and melee weapons, Rangers are going to have a minimum distance requirement.
Right.
Right.
And that's, I think, important because you know, they're going to have to be tacticians on the battlefield to determine, you know, whether or not they're too close for combat and whether they're going to be effective at that distance.
Right.
That's an important aspect. But the power shot is a charge-up ability, and that's going to, is it going to penetrate a target and continue moving?
That's not on the board right now, but it's definitely in
it's something that we've talked about,
Yeah.
so it's something we'll probably play with and see how it feels, see how it works
Right.
out.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. It lines up again with like a battlefield strategy placement. You know,
Right.
kind of playing towards that ice prison or the wall and knockdown effects, the earthquake that's going to be happening.
Right.
If they save their power shot to combo off,
Or if they
of,
know, like, hey, my mage is going to cast this in 2
Yes.
seconds, I'm going to start spinning up my power
I
shot.
love that.
And if we're going to design here, I think it'd be awesome if like you cast that power shot at an ice prison, and then the enemy takes damage from falling ice shards. You know, if you could
that'd
kind
be
of
great.
combo
That kind of
that.
stuff is really, I would love to go down that road.
Ship
Yeah.
it. Let's go.
Maybe not for PAX. Maybe not for PAX.
Oh no. Okay. So in addition, then the Ranger's going to have access to a snare on a target, basically, where they're going to be able to fire this foot pin kind of shot.
Yeah, it's like foot pin or hamstring to slow them down with a shot to the leg.
Yeah. That's
Or
cool.
the knee.
Or the
Sorry.
A shot to the knee.
Wow.
I don't know how I missed that.
Oh my gosh. The Ranger's going to have an ability to mark a target, basically have a marked shot that's going to debuff an enemy combatant so that they will take additional damage from any other source.
Yep.
Okay, and that's going to have some type of condition, effects on the target that's going to show your other party members,
Right. Hey, this mark shot just happened, and take advantage of it.
go
please.
for that dude. One of the components of having a minimum distance associated with the Ranger is going to be a skill that allows them to get out of close range.
Right.
This is going to be a dash ability that's going to pull the Ranger out of a precarious situation.
If I've got a tank who's just on top of me and
Yes.
won't let me go,
Absolutely. So after you're able to basically activate this dash, you're going to then use a shot immediately as well. So you're going to need to have a target with it, either within a close proximity template or targeted, and that will allow you to use this ability, this dash ability, and then follow up with that point blank shot, kind of against the target. The buff that the Ranger has is an ability to basically prepare shots. They're going to grab some arrows out of their quiver, they're going to slam it into the ground, and as long as they maintain proximity to those arrows that they laid on the ground, they're going to have boosted damage on a following 4 shots.
Right.
Yeah.
it's basically going to be double damage on the
Nice.
next couple
Wow.
shots. Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
It is
But
pretty
they
powerful.
have to stay within
They
close proximity.
are stuck in that area. As soon as they leave, buff is over.
Got it. That's it. So you still have movement, you still have ability to move, but if you want to get the benefit of that buff, you're going to need to stay within that range. The ultimate ability for the Ranger is a rain of arrows. This is going to be what? They're going to lay down a template out in the battlefield, and then they're going to cast up these shots.
Yep.
That are just going to rain down in that area.
Yep, pretty classic. Peppering. I'm going to blot out the sun.
Nice. I like that. Thank you, Circes. The utility of the Ranger.
Yeah. So what do Rangers do? They see stuff.
Track.
They track.
Yeah.
And that's going to be kind of what their utility skill for packs will be. While the mage can see hidden magical things, the ranger sees hidden physical things. So if a creature leaves behind footprints, other characters might not notice them or see them, but the ranger will.
Nice. I like that. So that's pretty interesting because we have a lot of systems in the game that have hidden things, and one of those in relation to kind of like an animal husbandry thing would be cool if you had unique pets, and those, or not pets, unique animals out in the wild that you're going to have to find and tame, if they may have with them associated tracks when they spawn that get spawned around them in a proximity, and rangers that might use this ability spot the tracks can be led to that.
Or even you're in a dungeon and you pop open your track and you see some footprints going into a wall, and now you know that your mage needs to use their reveal hidden to find the hidden wall.
That's a great idea. See, we could design. All right, so that's the gist of the 4 classes that are going to be present. Now, again, these are going to be present at PAX for players to participate either in the Dungeon Delve arena or have these 4 classes pitted against each other in an arena-style situation. So it's going to be really interesting to see how players interact with this, get their first touch, first experience on Ashes of Creation, and just have a lot of fun at PAX. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, come check us out. When we do the PvE playthrough, there's going to be one of us will be there, walking you through it and kind of telling you how to do things and get you set up.
And we're going to be streaming from PAX as well, actually. So you'll see players, playing in this environment. You'll see the arenas. You'll see us. We'll have a little stage there where we'll be answering questions and kind of following maybe some party stuff going on. It's going to be a lot of fun. And
I think so.
If you're able to make it to PAX in Seattle this first week of September, upcoming first week of September, we're going to likely be releasing some packages that may include some tickets for PAX as well in the coming weeks. So look out for that if you want to participate and are able to come out. So we maybe have enough time for 5 minutes worth of questions.
Just a couple questions.
Just a couple questions.
Hold on, I will pull up the questions here.
All right, cool.
Let's see. Oh, that's the wrong channel. Anyone want to do a song and dance while I find these here?
Sure.
All right, here we go.
My name is Jeff, my last name's Bud. I'm singing for you on our live stream.
That was really good.
That was good.
I'm impressed. You truly are a bard.
I'm a man of many talents.
Our first question is from Riddlin. Riddlin asks, how will players running caravans know what nodes will need for supplies?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good question. So when you initiate a caravan, you're going to be able to determine the resources that the caravan is going to have in it. You're going to be able to determine whether or not this caravan's been initiated for a specific quest in a nearby node. You're going to be able to deliver goods for trade or to just warehouse in a new region so that you have access to that local market.
I think the question was more along the lines of like, hey, I'm a node. This node has certain needs, right? For the temple, I need X resources, right? How do we tell players that? And that pretty much is going to be through the mayor or whoever is in control of that.
Right, that person's going to have control over dictating.
Right.
Right.
So it's going to be up to them to kind of communicate what is necessary. They're going to have to kind of be in the captain's chair to tell the citizens what they need and get the citizens motivated to fulfill those needs.
Right, and then when you're in a nearby node that you need to drive caravan to that mayor-initiated temple building, right? You're going to have an option from the NPC within a nearby node to dictate the caravan launch as a recipient of the temple. Yeah.
All right. The next question is from T-Elf. T-Elf asks, will healers be able to heal people who aren't in the group without leeching experience?
Yeah, you'll be able to heal players who are not within a group. I mean, some skills will be group dependent, such as the balanced life skill that you're going to need to be in a group for balanced life to work. You're going to have a party member. But for spot heals, or other types of targetable heals.
Drive-by heals.
Drive-by heal, exactly. Like I run by a dude, he's dying to some monster. I'm like, you know what? Here you go, buddy, and then run along.
One more questions?
Oh yeah, sure. We can do one more. Let's do one more.
All right. The next question is from Scone of Doom. Scone of Doom asks, will every class be viable in multiple roles, or will each class have one role they excel at?
They will. It depends on your spec, right? Like it ultimately always comes down to that. We've got the archetypes. Those archetypes, if you double down on them, they're going to be, that's their role, right? If you want to hybrid out, you can hybrid out and you will be viable.
Right,
as long as your build supports that and as long as your gear supports that.
I think that the primary tenet there to talk about is, nice. You were some type of creature. The ultimate point there is whether or not classes are going to be viable with different builds outside of what normally would be attributed with a role for certain classes, and the answer is yes. You will be viable, absolutely. Depending on whatever customization you're going to go down that route, you will have a place that is important in any class party composition.
And again, you're going to have to build toward that. It will take effort.
Absolutely.
But it is something that is really important to us.
Yes.
So
guys, thank you very much for joining us today. We will be back with you in 2 weeks, I believe, is our next scheduled stream. And we're really excited about PAX. If any of you guys are going to be coming to PAX, look for those packages that we'll be doing. And then also, if you're not going to PAX, just tune in for the streams that we'll be having there as well. We still have 60 days to go, so I'm sure we'll be talking about it a little bit more in the future. But let's go to PAX and have fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. So definitely come check us out, say hi. We'd love to talk to you guys in person. And yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.